Yachts. Everyone has an Instagram photo on one. I mean, heck, chances are you've been on one, haven't you? There's something about a photo on a yacht that makes people feel like they've made it in life, even if you are on a 30k a day charter with 12 people you barely know splitting the cost. But here's what most people don't realize. There's a universe of difference between being on a yacht and understanding yacht culture. The gap between a weekend party boat and what actual yacht owners possess is roughly equivalent to the difference between riding in an Uber versus not just owning a car, but more like owning Tesla's entire car manufacturing division. I'm Gabriel St. Charles, and I've spent enough time around both worlds to know that one will get you an Instagram story and the other will get you access to conversations that might actually be worth having. Today, we're diving into a world where a small yacht costs more than people's houses and a big one costs more than people's entire neighborhoods. Because understanding the difference between charter culture and yacht ownership isn't just about being able to spot the difference. It's about understanding how wealth really operates at the highest levels, from Ibiza party boats to Jeff Bezos's floating empire. Let's decode this world that many people see, but few actually truly understand. Let me give you a framework for understanding what you're actually looking at when you see a yacht. Because calling everything that floats a yacht is like calling both a Honda and a Bugatti cars. Technically true, but missing some rather important distinctions. At the bottom of what people call yachts are day boats and party boats. These cost anywhere from 30k to 200k. These are what you usually see on Instagram. They're basically floating beach clubs. Loud music, drinks, tan lines, and everyone pretending that this is their normal Tuesday. Perfect for what they are, but about as far from serious yachting as a McDonald's drive-thru is from Michelin-starred dining. Next up, you've got sport fishing and cruising boats. These go anywhere from 200k to 2 million. These belong to your wealthy hobbyists, your successful dentist, the guy who owns 3 car dealerships, the hedge fund manager who thinks fishing makes him look rugged. These are serious boats for serious money, but they're still more hobby than lifestyle. Now we enter the realm of actual yachts, motor yachts from 2 million to 20 million. This is where serious wealth begins to show itself. We're talking 60 to 120 feet of floating luxury with crew quarters. Because when you're spending this much, you don't clean your own bathrooms. These are weekend homes that just happen to float. And then we have super yachts. 20 million to 500 million and beyond. At 120 feet and above, these aren't just boats, these are floating estates. We're talking helicopter pads, swimming pools, beach clubs, submarines, and crew sizes that rival small hotels. When someone owns one of these, they don't have a yacht. They have a maritime empire. And at the very pinnacle, mega yachts over 500 million. Jeff Bezos's Kourou cost him $500 million, plus another 75 million for its support vessel, because he needed a second yacht to carry his helicopter. At this level, you're not just buying transportation, you're buying your own country that happens to be waterproof. To put this in perspective, Bezos's yacht is longer than the length of a football field. When people talk about size not mattering, they've clearly never tried to dock something the size of a city block. Here's where most people get confused. They think yacht culture is just boat culture with better champagne. It's really not. It's the difference between tourism and lifestyle, between renting a villa for a week and owning a vineyard. On one hand, we have charter culture. Charter culture is more about the experience. Ibiza party boats, Miami bachelor parties, Mykonos sunset cruises. It's entertainment, social media content. It's $2,000 a day to pretend you're someone else for a weekend. Everyone's trying to have the most outrageous time possible because they know they're going back to reality on Monday. Yacht ownership, on the other hand, is more about having Tuesday morning coffee and complete silence while anchored off somewhere most people can't pronounce. It's infrastructure, not entertainment. It's having your office, your home, your sanctuary, your escape route, all in one vessel that goes anywhere in the world. The status signaling is also completely different. Being on a yacht signals that I can afford to party. owning a yacht signals I can afford to disappear. One is about being seen, and the other is about having the option not to be seen. Different regions have completely different yacht cultures. The Mediterranean is about being seen, Monaco, Saint-Tropez. The Caribbean is about escaping, private islands, hidden coves, tax optimization. The Pacific is about exploration, serious ocean crossing, technical seamanship, going where most people can't or won't follow. When someone's dropping tens of millions on a yacht, they're not shopping on eBay. There's a hierarchy of builders, and knowing the names tells you everything about the owner's priorities and, more importantly, their net worth. Sunseeker and Princess represent British yacht building, sporty, fast, with just the right amount of flash without being vulgar. These are for people who want to go fast and look good doing it. Think of your hedge fund managers who also own Aston Martins. Italian builders like Ferretti and Azimut. These are about style and emotion. Italians don't build boats, they sculpt floating art. These yachts look like they're moving even when they're parked. Perfect for people who appreciate aesthetics. Now we get serious. Leusen from Germany and Vedship from the Netherlands. These names build the yachts that make other yacht owners jealous. When you see a Leusen or a Vedship, you're looking at someone who measures their wealth in billions, not millions. See, yachts aren't just floating houses, they're built for specific purposes. Party yachts are designed around entertaining. Beach clubs, bars, dance floors, spaces for showing off. Explorer yachts are built for going places. Ice-strengthened hulls, long-range helicopter hangars. Racing yachts are built for speed. Lightweight, technical, for people who race their yachts the same way they race their cars. The real luxury markers aren't obvious to outsiders. A helicopter pad, that's nice, but fairly standard above 50 million. A submarine garage, now we're talking serious money. A beach club that folds out from the stern? Someone spent real money on engineering. Wine cellar with 500 bottles, that's cute. A wine cellar with a sommelier on staff? Now that's different money entirely. Every serious yacht is basically bespoke. We're not talking about choosing between beige and white leather. We're talking about commissioning artists, flying in craftsmen from Japan to install a specific type of wood, or rebuilding entire sections just because the owner decided that they wanted their bedroom to be 3 feet larger. Now here's something that confuses people. Most yachts fly flags from countries their owners have never visited. Cayman Islands, Marshall Islands, British Virgin Islands. See, it's not about patriotism. This is about tax optimization, legal jurisdiction, and regulatory advantages. When someone asks where your yacht is from, they're not asking about patriotism. They're asking about your tax strategy. Now here's where yacht ownership gets truly expensive. The purchase price is just the entry fee. Everything that happens afterward is where your bank account goes to die a slow and painful death. Well, of course, not for these people. The rule of thumb is brutal. Annual operating costs are 10 to 20% of the yacht's purchase price. So that $50 million super yacht, budget about 5 to 10 million a year just to keep it floating. And that's not including actually using it. That's just to prevent it from becoming an artificial reef. Let's talk crew costs, because nobody wants to clean their own $50 million yacht. A captain starts at $100K per year and goes up fast. Add engineers, chefs, stewardesses, deckhands. A 60-meter yacht typically needs about 16 crew members. Total crew costs easily 1.2 million annually, and that's before you factor in training, insurance, and the fact that good crew have options and expect to be paid for their discretion. After all, what happens on a yacht stays on a yacht. Marina fees are where location matters. Monaco during yacht show season, expect about 500K for a good berth. Saint-Tropez in the summer, prepare to pay more per night than most people spend on monthly rent. The Maldives, surprisingly reasonable, if you don't mind the fact that your nearest Michelin-starred restaurant is approximately 2,000 miles away. Many owners think they'll offset costs by chartering the yacht to others. This is a bit like thinking you'll make money on your Ferrari by renting it to strangers. Sure, it's theoretically possible, but most charter income barely covers insurance, let alone crew salaries or maintenance. It's just a lovely fantasy that helps to justify the expense to your accountant. Actual charter prices range from 50k per week for a decent sized motor yacht to 500k per week for the serious super yachts. Plus expenses, fuel, food, drinks, crew tips. That 50k charter easily becomes 70k once you add the cost of actually using the thing. It's like staying at a luxury hotel where the room rate doesn't include electricity. The hidden costs are where yacht ownership becomes truly artistic in its ability to separate you from your money. A major refit every 5 to 10 years, several million, new engines, 500k and up, replacing the tender that someone backed into a dock, 200k, having your helicopter hangar reconfigured because you bought a new helicopter. It's endless. Let's talk about Jeff Bezos and his yacht, Koru. A perfect case study in how money creates problems that ordinary people could never imagine. His 500 million sailing yacht was so tall that to get it out of the Dutch shipyard where it was built, they had to consider dismantling a historic bridge. A bridge that survived World War II almost didn't survive Jeff Bezos' boat. The locals were so outraged they organized to throw eggs at the yacht if the bridge was dismantled. Nothing quite like thousands of Dutch people organizing to egg a billionaire's boat. Eventually they found another way out, but the story perfectly captures how super yachts operate in a completely different reality than the rest of us. But here's the really telling part. Bezos needed to commission a separate 75 million support vessel called the Abiona, essentially a yacht for his yacht, because Koru couldn't carry a helicopter. When your yacht needs a yacht, you've reached a level of complexity that makes normal problems seem quaint. When it comes to yacht law, this is fascinatingly complex because these floating palaces exist in legal grey areas. Which country's laws apply when a Cayman Islands flagged yacht owned by a Monaco resident carries American guests in international waters off the coast of Turkey? The answer usually involves very expensive lawyers. Then there's also new environmental regulations that are changing the industry. The EU's new emission standards are forcing yacht builders to innovate or watch their clients anchor somewhere with more flexible environmental policies. Suddenly, $500 million yachts are becoming paperweights because they can't enter certain ports without violating environmental laws. Now, here's something that yacht brokers don't mention in their sales pitches. Yachts are terrible investments. While your friends are debating whether art or wine appreciates faster, your yacht is depreciating at a rate that would make a BMW owner wince. A new yacht loses 20 to 30% of its value in the first few years, then continues depreciating steadily. That $10 million yacht, worth $7 million after 3 years. That's if you're lucky. It's like buying a luxury car that also requires a crew of 10 and costs $100k per month to park. And then there's refitting. Every 5 to 10 years, yachts need major refits costing millions. New electronics, interior updates, engine overhauls. It's like renovating a house that's simultaneously trying to sink and costing you 50 grand per month just to keep floating. The refit often costs more than the yacht is worth afterward. And then there's the market. The yacht market perpetually has too many boats for sale. Browse any yacht broker's website and it is a graveyard of other people's dreams, marked down from their original asking prices. Was 15 million, now 8 million becomes a common refrain, usually accompanied by the phrase, motivated seller. The truth is, very few yachts can actually hold their value. Historically significant ones, extremely well-maintained classics or yachts with some unique story, those might maintain their value. But for every yacht that appreciates, there are 50 depreciating quietly in marinas around the world, accumulating docking fees. Understanding yacht crew hierarchy is crucial, because these people make the experience work. The captain is absolute authority. Their word is law. Question the captain's judgment about weather or navigation and you'll quickly understand why maritime tradition evolved the way it did. Basic etiquette. Shoes off before boarding because those decks cost more than your car. Don't touch anything unless invited, and never ever complain about the food unless you want to see how creative a chef can get with limited ingredients in the middle of an ocean. Marina culture has its own ecosystem. These aren't just parking spots for boats, they're social clubs where the annual docking fees exceed most people's mortgages. The real conversations happen on the dock, not necessarily on the boats. Then we have yacht shows. Yacht shows like Monaco in September aren't really about boats, they're more about business networking with very expensive props. More deals are struck over champagne on a yacht deck than in most boardrooms. It's networking disguised as leisure, which is the most effective kind. When it comes to crossing oceans, most yacht owners hire delivery crews for actual ocean crossings because crossing the Atlantic in a super yacht requires actual seamanship, not just the ability to write large checks. There's something humbling about owning a 50 million yacht and having to still hire professionals to actually sail it anywhere challenging. Learning to distinguish between yacht owners and charter guests is a useful skill. Owners are usually more relaxed about their yachts, it's merely infrastructure to them. Charter guests are often trying to maximize every minute because they're paying 10k a day for the experience. Here's some basic boat terminology that matters. Know the basics. Port and starboard instead of left and right. Bow and stern instead of front and back. It's not about showing off nautical knowledge, it's about not sounding like someone who learned about boats from movies. Also, never call a yacht a boat if it's over 40 feet. As I've learned, owners have strong feelings about this distinction. If you are making conversation with a yacht owner, here are some safe questions you can ask. How do you find cruising in this area? Or what's your favorite cruising ground? These show interest without probing into finances and logistics. As always, avoid things like, oh, how much did this cost? Or what does this cost to run? Or can I see the engine room? Unless, of course, you are specifically invited. I would not recommend it though. And if you're invited to a party on a yacht, remember that you're a guest on someone's floating home. Don't bring wet swimwear into interior areas, don't move between decks without permission, and always tip the crew if you're on a charter. The crew makes the experience happen and they remember who treats them well. Now, if you do want to pay a compliment, appreciate without gushing. The interior finishings are beautiful, works better than, oh my gosh, this is amazing. One shows a bit more sophisticated appreciation and the other marks you as someone who's never seen luxury before. The goal is to sound like you're used to this, not like you're auditioning for a reality show. Now here's the reality. For most owners, yachts are business tools disguised as toys. They're floating offices, entertainment venues, and networking platforms that happen to move. The pleasure is secondary to the utility, which is why they can justify the astronomical costs. But still, the truth is that most wealthy people are too smart to own yachts. They charter when they want the experience without the ongoing financial commitment. It's like the difference between buying a racehorse and betting on one. Similar thrills, but very different long-term financial consequences. Understanding yacht culture can give you social currency in business situations where this knowledge matters. It's not about owning one, it's about understanding the ecosystem, the players, and the unspoken rules that govern this floating world. So, what does this knowledge actually get you? The ability to navigate conversations in rooms where yacht ownership is assumed background knowledge. To understand the context when someone mentions chartering for the Monaco Grand Prix or spending the season in the Caribbean. To appreciate the difference between someone who owns a 60-foot Sunseeker and someone who owns a 200-foot Fedship. Remember, yachts are solutions to problems that most people don't have. They're for people who need to be able to disappear to international waters with 12 friends and a full staff on short notice. If that's not your life, admire them for what they are. Floating examples of what happens when engineering meets unlimited budgets. But don't mistake understanding them for needing them.